but I am hella depressed. I ordered a couple of things off Vinted, which is my new obsession. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion. I can't lie, I kind of hate it. It is so toxic, so problematic, but so thoroughly entertaining. Say hello to everybody. Say hello. The guy that follows is essentially a predator. Today I want to talk to you guys about how I stay organized during an average week with the sponsor of today's video, Notion. So Notion is a single space that can be used to organize, plan and brainstorm a multitude of activities, tasks and projects. And the really fun thing about Notion is that it is super versatile and customizable, which is great for my aesthetic pals out there. I use my Notion as a dashboard for pretty much most of my life at this point, really. I use it on a daily basis to structure my week and maximize productivity with my daily to-do lists. I have Pomodoro and playlist embeds on there, and my general daily routine is to come down, open Notion onto my weekly agenda, and I just have everything that I need for a work day laid out right in front of me where I can see it and like keep referring back to it throughout the day in a way that like makes sense to my brain and helps me to actually be productive and get things done. I love how customizable Notion is as well. Like, it's obviously not too important that it looks pretty, but being able to color code and organize my pages in a way that like promotes cohesion and makes the presentation of information visually pleasing is actually quite helpful and definitely a win. There is also this huge database of Notion templates that cover pretty much any kind of topic or project that you can imagine if you're looking for a place to start. And actually, with the exception of a couple of them, all of the pages on my Notion are just templates that I've applied to my own dashboard and then customized for my own use. But the newest addition and my current favorite part of my Notion is my recipe book, because if you've been on this channel for any length of time, you will know that I love to cook and I love to bake, and I get most of the recipes that I try from places like Instagram Reels, and it is such a pain to have to scroll through my saved posts and then watch a video to be able to cook things, and then depending on how the instructions are laid out, I have to keep rewatching the video, and it's just not an ideal kind of situation when I'm trying to cook or bake anything. But with Notion, I finally have my own recipe book, and I will say I do know that my food photography leaves a lot to be desired, but after playing around with some stuff, I have finally found the perfect format for my recipes that works for me. So I have my ingredients on the left hand side, it's across two columns, and all of the instructions down the right hand column. I also have the original recipe embedded on the page, so if I need to refer back to it or anything, I can. And with me now having my own database, I can adapt these recipes with the things that I have learned through making them from my own experience, and I have them all here to just look through. I can also filter them by the type of meal they are, and it's honestly just so much easier to come to Notion, open up my recipe book, than it is to scroll through all of my posts on Instagram. As well as being like a great personal organization tool, if you're looking to use Notion for like project management between a group of people, you can also use it to work and collaborate with others. And I gotta say as well, like, not only is this really helpful to my daily life, making the pages and the dashboard and like putting everything together is actually really fun. So if you want to get started on your own personal or professional organizational paradise, you can sign up for free using the link in my description to get started with Notion today. And thank you very much to Notion for sponsoring this video. I have just come off the back of filming Shelve It or Scrap It, and I've been feeling a little bit depressy spaghetti over the last couple of weeks, and I'm at a point now where I finished Shelve It or Scrap It episode 4, and I've also cleared all of the books that I was currently reading in the background of that as well. So where do we go from here? I definitely need to catch up on my TBR. That is something that needs to happen. But because of my terrible mood, I have been leaning towards romance a little bit. And lucky for me, I have some romance on my May TBR and also my June TBR. So I think that's what I'm going to try and focus on. I do also need to start Winter's Heart by Robert Jordan, because if we don't include today, I have 11 days until the live show, and I have started this. I've been listening to the audio, but I'm only like somewhere in the prologue. The prologues in these do tend to be quite long. This one in particular is 68 pages, so I'm somewhere within the first 68 pages of this book, but it isn't one of the shortest. Actually, you know what, it's not too bad. It's under 600 pages, so hopefully I'll chip away at this through the course of the week, and then I won't have too much to go between like the end of this vlog and the live show. But my main read is going to be a little bit more romantic, although maybe not from what I've heard from my patrons, because I'm going to be starting my Alpha Ho Book Club book for May, which is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. So the Alpha Ho Book Club is my Patreon fantasy romance book club, and I make like spoiler videos for all of the books that we read. And this one is the first book in a new series that I've heard amazing things about. I've heard such good things about Carissa Broadbent. Not as many good things about the War of Lost Hearts series as I have about the like Serpent and the Wings of Night series, but good things regardless. And then we picked this for my book club, and everyone's saying it's like super slow. Some people are DNFing because of it. Some people are really loving it once they get to the end, and the general consensus I've heard is that it kind of pulls through in the second half. So I'm expecting really good things from it, but I also know that I'm going to be in for a little bit of a slow start, which it depends what kind of mood I'm in. At the minute I'm feeling kind of grumpy and impatient, but typically a slow start doesn't bother me too much, providing it's interesting and I feel like I'm learning about the world and getting absorbed in it. But this one, all I know about it is that it's following a girl who is a slave, and she frees herself from slavery, but she has to leave her best friend behind. She joins this like order of magicians or magic wielders, and she has to apprentice under this fire wielder to be able to join this order and then go and free her friend. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. I know it's been compared to Sarah J Maas a lot, which is obviously exciting for me, even though me and Sarah J Maas have fallen out recently. So fingers crossed this one does pull through for me and I do end up enjoying it. But it's actually quite late. It's 6 p.m. My Fitbit is dead. It is 5:49 and my HelloFresh for the week has not arrived yet, which is very upsetting. So while I wait for this, I'm going to make a start on this book and then probably not read very much more. I might also, because I've just finished the Lucy Score book that I was reading for my entire life, I might pick up a contemporary romance for bedtime. Depends how I'm feeling with Daughter of No Worlds, because like I said, I'm in the mood for romance and I think that the romance is very slow to come into that series, so I might need something a bit more instant gratification to get me through, in which case I'll pick up something else and let you know what it is later. Today is the day that I get my shit together. Is what I said to myself. I was gonna say this morning, it was actually last night, but that was definitely the attitude that I was going into today with. Now that it's 1:30 p.m, am I still feeling that way? Am I still feeling like today's the day that I'm gonna get my shit together? I have no idea, because I've been in a little bit of a rut for a few weeks now. I mentioned it briefly at the end of Shelve It or Scrap It, but I didn't really go into it. But I am hella depressed, and depression is nothing really new for me in the grand scheme of things, but generally it's not something that I deal with too often these days, and you know it is bad because I've been skipping workouts, and a bitch never skips a workout, like literally ever. I did injure my foot last week and that is almost better. I'd say I'm on like 90% right now, and I'm actually hoping that it's kind of going to clear up fully before the weekend so that I can finish up my running program. I was halfway through week 7 out of 8 when I hurt my foot, and that was not fun. But in general, like I've been sleeping in because I hurt my foot. I haven't been really walking unless I'm actually going out somewhere. I haven't been working out. That's not actually because of my foot, because I can still spin and I can still do like upper body and core weights and stuff and strength training. That's just pure depression, man, and I do not know what's up with me. There's literally nothing wrong right now aside from the fact that I'm depressed, but the depression isn't being caused by anything. It just is. So today I was like, you need to get your shit together. It's time, because a little bit of discipline does kind of help me with depression. So yesterday, after I started this vlog, it was really late. HelloFresh was only delivered like between 5 and 7, and I normally make dinner at 5. So we ordered a pizza. I then skipped my workout. I did go for a walk instead though, so it wasn't terrible. And this morning I got up at 7:30 for the first time in quite some time now. It's been like a good week or so, which I know isn't that long in the long run, but it feels like a long time to me to be like kind of out of whack. So I did that. I took Bree for a walk. I listened to some of Wheel of Time, took my books back to the library. I checked off all the little niggly things off my to-do list, and now I am editing last week's vlog, Shelve It or Scrap It. So I definitely feel a bit better. I do have sprints tonight though, so I'm going to be wrapping up editing a little bit earlier. I'm going to be wrapping up at 4, and I hope this is a long vlog, guys. I'm like an hour into editing. I'm like 55 minutes into the video and I'm actually like, I still have an hour of footage to go through. It is not a short vlog. So I'm hoping that I can wrap that up before 4 and then I'm going to get my workout in. Oh shit, no, I have to do that at 3 because I'm doing sprints tonight. So I have to get my workout in and make dinner. So I have an hour and 20 minutes to finish this vlog, which now I can probably like with about 85% certainty say that is not happening. So maybe today is not the day that I get my shit together, but a conscious effort was made. I'm trying to like get my nutrition back on track as well, and I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I just wanted to kind of check in and let y'all know that I was feeling terrible, because shelf it or scrap it, like with me feeling so terrible while I was filming the end of that vlog, I don't want to talk about it sometimes, you know, like it's not fun to say that I feel shit. And sometimes as well, especially like when I'm depressed, I don't want to be perceived. So you'll notice that like my updates get like more and more sporadic and further apart. So I just wanted to let y'all know I've been having a tough time and I am feeling better, and we're gonna keep fighting this thing. I mean, it will pass. It always does. It sucks when I'm in it, especially because I've got the hormone aspects of my mental health under control. To just be knocked out by a wave of depression for literally no reason is a little bit frustrating, but such is life. I am enjoying my book, by the way, because this is a reading vlog. Just over 100 pages into it, and at some point, maybe tonight before sprints if I have time, I'll give you a little bit of an update on that. But I just wanted to pop in to let you all know what's been going on recently, how I've been feeling, and that I'm trying to get myself back on track. I'm doing all right. It's not the end of the world. It just sometimes feels like it is. So I have already tried to film this update, but I was hiccuping too hard to function. But I did not have time to fill you guys in before sprint started, and so now I've been sprinting for like over 4 hours. I'm now halfway through this book, and I need to tell you some things about it. I haven't even updated the spoiler vlog yet because I just keep wanting to read more of it, and like my camera's in the other room and I'm enjoying it too much to get it. So here we are, we're now at 48% and having a grand old time. So this one is a fantasy following a girl called Tisana feels right, but I don't know if it is. And she is a slave, and she's had the same master now for 8 years. She's like super ruthless in that she's prepared to do what it takes to protect herself. And so like when she was a kid and her town was raided by slavers, she left her mother behind to save herself, like obviously with her mother's encouragement. And she's had this master for the last 8 years, and she had what she thought was a lot of money. It was like 50 silver, and she offered it to him and said like, is this enough to buy my freedom? And he said no, like I won 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 gold. So she's been saving up over this 8 years. She's been like schmoozing the nobles and doing other things to get this money. So the story starts where she approaches her master and she's like, I made all the gold. And she very quickly realizes that he never intended her to be free, and he like tries to put her in her place. Now content warnings in here for like torture, assault, abuse, sexual assault as well. And as this is happening, she uses this magical ability that she has and she kills him. So with the help of her best friend, they try and frame it. She leaves, tells everyone that she sees along the way that she has actually bought her freedom, and then the guy that she leaves behind, her friend, is going to find the master dead and try and blame it on somebody else. So she like rides away, she's in a bad state, and she ends up at this magic school where she is told that she is too late to be an apprentice, and she ends up apprenticed to this guy who is notorious but also a bit of a recluse, who lives in this cottage, and he absolutely does not want to teach her until she kind of wears him down and she starts to learn some magic and also prepare for a test to see whether she's skilled enough to join the orders, which will happen like 5 months from the date that she starts. So our male main character is called Max, and he is I can't remember what they're called. There's like night and day magic wielders. Oh, is that it's like Solonai or something is like the day ones. And he's a day one and she's a night one essentially, so he shouldn't be training her, but he is he's not disillusioned with authority and like the orders anymore, and he really sees these institutions for what they are, and so he doesn't want to help them. He also played like a very important role in a war that happened at some point before this story. I don't really have a grasp on the timeline right now, and he just kind of wants to be left alone. This, where I'm at now, I feel like the magic school element of this is going to be coming to an end, and we're going to get more into like a wider plot line. I know a lot of people said this was slow, but I'm not feeling it. I'm flying through this. And also somebody I think left a comment on my TBR saying that the romance takes a while to come in. At about 40% we really started to see inklings of a romance, and obviously like at this point it's not actually like they're not in a relationship or anything, but I think it's very clear that there is a romance there, like a romance blossoming. And y'all know me, I'm a big fan of a slow burn, so I'm definitely here for it. The action scenes are losing me slightly. They're not like the best ones that I've ever read. But aside from that, like, it's super compelling. The fantasy is decent. It's like an easy read without being like overly simplistic or anything like that. Like, it's not bad, but it's also not dense or challenging, which is pretty much what I need right now. I was worried that a fantasy romance wasn't going to hit right now, but because it isn't especially challenging or dense, it's still ticking all those boxes for me. The romance at the minute, like, I'm not ride or die for it, but I'm having a good time, and I'm excited to see it play out, as well as kind of see where the plot is going to go from here. So I mean, if I carry on reading at this pace, I'm going to be done with it soon. Tomorrow morning I need to finish editing Shelve It or Scrap It. I've got like 25 minutes left. I did not finish it as I anticipated, and then I'm gonna go to my dad's for a few hours in like the late morning, early afternoon. I don't think I'm gonna finish this today, because after that I have to get a workout in. I need to do a Patreon live show, and then it's Fortnite night, so probably not gonna be finished on Friday, but then I have no plans for the weekend, so it will definitely be Saturday. I have some very exciting news today actually, because last night our Zanzibar group trip, the Trova trip, went live at 7 p.m. and not only have all of the early bird spots gone, and it has confirmed, there are only 9 spots left out of 24. There are 15 brave adventurers joining me in Zanzibar already, and I had a good idea. I had a good feeling about this. I was confident that it was going to happen and that it was going to confirm, but the amount of people that have booked on with it having only just gone live has shook me a little bit. So we're going to Zanzibar, I guess, which is super exciting. If you guys would like to join us at any point, the link will be in the description box of all of my videos up until like next May. So you have plenty of time to join if you're thinking about it. There's only 9 spaces left. So do you? I honestly don't know. These spaces could go super quick, or they could last forever. I literally have no idea. So I'm super pumped about that. I'm also cautiously pumped about the fact that I'm going to try and run today. I did injure my foot. It was like a week and a half ago now, and I don't really know what exactly was wrong with it, but the pain has gone now. And I was shifting backwards and forwards on my feet upstairs when I was getting ready to come down, and I was like, is it sore? Am I imagining it? Is it anxiety? I have no idea, but it's only been a week and a half since the last time I ran, and I already feel like, you know, the fear that you have when you first start running and you're like, I don't know if I can go outside and like run in public. I'm kind of back in that place, and I don't know if it's just because mentally like I haven't been feeling 100% recently, so obviously the anxiety is much easier to set in than it usually is. But I'm gonna give it, I haven't even had my coffee yet. That's definitely next on my to-do list, but I think in about 45 minutes, because I've just had a couple of pieces of Nutella toast, which was so good for my soul. So I think in about 50 minutes I'm gonna go get my cup of coffee, and then in 45 minutes I'm gonna run. I hope that, because it's only been a week and a half, I've realistically only missed 2 runs out of the running program that I was following, so I'm hoping that I'm still able to complete the workout, like that my ability hasn't decreased, because a week and a half isn't a long time, but it feels like it's been a long time since I went for a run, you know? $99, we should transfer it into pounds. I love the way you take it slow. You got? You make this light inside me glow. You're the only one who knows me. Saturate me when I'm gray, until all my colors show. I get lost in those hazy eyes. Good morning. I have my coffee. I have a book haul And I also have 10% of my book left that I'm very eager to finish. But I thought that I would open these up for you and show you what we got. I ordered a couple of things off Vinted, which is my new obsession since I did my last book haul. And I was like, you know what, let's sell on Vinted, see what that's about. Since then, I have become a big fan of Vinted. I've actually ordered something. I've ordered a playsuit off it for the Eras tour, hopefully, if it fits. I'm a little bit nervous about ordering clothes off Vinted because obviously like I have no idea whether they're actually going to work out, but we'll see. But you guys may have heard, I think I mentioned it in my last TBR for June, that on Patreon we're doing like a very low-key unofficial read along of the Pretty Little Liars series by Sarah Shepherd, just because it came up randomly in a vlog that I was doing. I actually really enjoyed the first book and a couple of my patrons read it with me because they were surprised I was enjoying it. So now we're reading like one book per month. So I already own, because I picked all of mine up secondhand, I already own books 1 to 4 and I also own 7 and 8. So I needed to pick up 5 and 6. We're reading 4 this month, but 5 will be next month and then 6 will be August. So they are Wicked and Killer, and these cost me like £5. I think £5.80 including postage, which was really the most cost-effective way that I could get my hands on these books. And then this one, I'm pretty sure is an art from a publisher. I have been expecting one, and normally when I expect them, I feel like they're going to take a while and they turn up really quickly. And this one has been the opposite. This one has taken a while, so now I'm unsure if it's what I think it is. Yes, it is Goss by Sam K. Horton. This is the cover for it. This one's from Solaris, so thank you very much to Solaris for sending this one to me. I'm unsure if I'm gonna like this one because it is a historical fantasy. It does do a lot of things that I really enjoy when it comes to historical fantasy. It's a blending of like folklore and religion, but it is set in England, and that's the bit that I'm a little unsure about, because when it comes to fairies, I like them to be big, muscular and badass, not dark, creepy and trickstery. I don't know why, it's just when I read fairy stories that are that like traditional folklore interpretation of them, I don't tend to enjoy it as much, and I think that is because it leans into like the whimsy and unpredictability of fairy tales, which we know that I don't love. But the press release on this says the Bear and the Nightingale meets Poldark in this luscious dark fantasy debut of faith, Cornish folklore and grief. It's set in Cornwall in 1786, and yeah, it involves somebody called a keeper who is a mediator between the worlds of men and fae, but then it also talks about the church as well. And the release date on this is the 12th of September 2024, so I'm probably going to put it on my August TBR, but then if I get to it any sooner that would be great. And it's 400 pages. I think it looks quite small, but it's 393 pages, so like standard length. But as I mentioned, I have 10% left of my book. I wanted to finish it last night and I did not get around to it, so I'm gonna start my day by doing that, and then honestly I don't know what else I'm gonna do. It's Sunday. I probably could be doing productive things. I slept for 10 hours, which I'm really glad that we're getting to the point of my depression where I'm sleeping, because last week I was really struggling to sleep. Now I'm sleeping for 10 hours. Both are not great, but out of the two, this one is better. So I had a nice, good sleep, and I might do something productive today. I actually might add a couple of recipes that I want to try to my Notion, so I can pick up the ingredients next time that I go shopping. But aside from that, maybe I'll just get as much reading done as I can today. I'll keep you posted anyway. So I finished my book. I finished Daughter of No Worlds before I went to Tesco to get some stuff for lunch, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like, I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, based on what I've been seeing people talking about in my Discord, I feel like it is, but I actually much preferred the first half of the book to the second half, and the plot really ramps up in the second half. A lot goes down, tons of action, the romance actually properly kicks in the second half. But I'm a sucker for a slow burn, and I really enjoyed the slow pacing. It wasn't even that slow if I'm being honest, but I really enjoyed the build up and like the kind of training part of this book more than I enjoyed the actual kind of fulfillment of elements of the plot. That being said though, I did still really enjoy it. The romance is the part that I am the most invested in. I really liked the writing for the most part. I don't feel like the action scenes are the best executed, but I'm not the biggest fan of action scenes anyway unless they are like superbly written. I can take or leave action in most cases, which is why I don't love like super plot heavy fast-paced books, because I don't much care for the action scenes. Really like the kind of messy politics that we have here, where we have Tasana, who is trying to bring about change to her people, but also I feel like the scope of this series is that she's going to have to bring change to everybody, because where she's come from is worse than where she currently is, but because of that she is seeing the good in where she is, as opposed to seeing the fact that actually where she is just the lesser of two evils. And I feel like the plot is going to be a culmination of that and kind of like setting the world to rights. I love how supportive the relationship is. I love Max and Tasana. I love that we don't have kind of lack of communication issues. In my spoiler vlog for this that I made on Patreon, I compared it to Throne of Glass because tons of people do. Tons of people compare Grissa Broadbent to Sarah J Maas and this to Throne of Glass. If this were Selena Sardothian, there would be some sort of like self-sacrificing breakup where Tasana says to Max like, I don't care about you, I don't want anything to do with you anymore, I lied to you, to protect him. But where those situations arise in Daughter of No Worlds, Tasana is communicating with Max and saying like, look, this is the issue that we're gonna have to face and I don't know what we're gonna do about it, but we're going to do it together. They're very supportive of each other, but they also kind of know that there's bigger fish to fry, and while they are each other's priority, they also know that there are grander things at stake. And I really love that element of the romance in this story, so I am very excited to continue. I don't know whether I'm going to enjoy the next books as much, because I feel like with every book it's going to be a little bit more plot heavy. I do hope that we still have some slow starts to the stories though, to get reacquainted with everything, and I think that that will definitely make me enjoy them more, especially because they are quite big books. I think the next one's 600 pages and then the last one might be more around 700. But yeah, I think that this is definitely my favorite book that I've read for our Patreon book club so far, which is very, very promising. This is my kind of fantasy romance, and so I'm really excited to get through the rest of this one over the coming months. So do I still need to read romance to cure my depression? I think so. I am feeling much better than I was last week though. Last week, especially the beginning of last week, was not great, but trailing into the end as well. I am a firm believer of like, you don't need a new start to make change. Like, this is why I don't celebrate New Year because I don't think like New Year, new me. I'm like, no, it's the same me. I'm the same me I was yesterday. That being said, there is a lot of power in a fresh start. I find that when I've been having a terrible week, if I can just get to Monday and start Monday strong, then the next week is going to be on such a better trajectory. And even though I logically know, and I'm a firm believer in that like New Year, new me is like bullshit attitude, if I start with a terrible week, then I kind of lose any motivation to make the week better as the days go on, which is something that I definitely need to work on. But regardless, like, I am feeling a lot better than I was when I started this vlog and even before this vlog started. That being said, I am absolutely still going to be reading romance, but I don't know what I want to start right now. I have 2 books on my TBR that are romantic in some way, but I have looked at my spreadsheet and I currently am failing my goal of reading twice as many sequels as series that I start. I think I've read like 21 sequels and I've started 13 series. So I also need to read some sequels. So I can't decide whether to kind of put myself behind on a TBR I'm already behind on by reading a sequel, or whether I should read something from my TBR. So I'm going to decide that a little bit later, because something that I'm also behind on is my progress in Winter's Heart. So I'm like, I think like 80 pages into it, and the live show is going to be a week from now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the audiobook on and I am going to play some games. I think I'm going to play Metropolis Mania. We will see where I'm up to in it because I'm like halfway through the 2nd stage and I know I've never made it through the 3rd stage, but I'm at the point in my town for the 2nd stage where the town's going to grow so big that I kind of lose control of it a little bit. So it's whether I can be bothered to push through that or not, but that's my plan for now. You lift me up when I get low. I gave you the right of way. Now I'm seeing
again. I don't wanna feel the night. I just wanna chill under the northern lights with you. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
So I did indeed end up picking up a contemporary romance last night, and I've actually made good progress on it because I'm 72 pages in. This is the one that has been on my TBR the longest after Daughter of No Worlds, and I also have it out from the library. It is My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shen, and I can't lie, I kind of hate it. Not in a way where I'm about to DNF right now, although a DNF could definitely be in my future for this book, because the male main character is truly the worst. He is horrible, and I went into this knowing it wasn't going to be like a traditional like cheesy happy contemporary romance, because it literally says on the front he's my dark Romeo, but this isn't a love story, which is why I wanted to read it, because I love books that aren't romances, that read like romances and deal with all of like the messy angsty drama, especially in terms of things like, you know, a whirlwind romance with toxic bad boy that's not good for you but like just takes over a short period of your life. That's the kind of stuff I want to read, and I was getting those vibes from this book. Also Magnolia Parks vibes, because those vibes that I just talked about is also 100% Magnolia Parks. When we talk about Magnolia Parks, it is often compared to like a British Gossip Girl, and this is even more Gossip Girl than Magnolia Parks is, because do you remember season 1 Chuck Bass, who was like truly the worst, like literally a horrible person, the dregs of humanity? That is what the male main character is in this book. He's called Romeo Costa, and he meets this girl at a party, but he's gone there intentionally to find her. It's actually a debutante ball, and he kind of says like, oh, meet me in the rose garden. So she's like, yeah, cool, let's fool around. And then he intentionally kind of exposes the fact that they're fooling around to everybody at this ball, and it's in this like small southern town where all of the daughters are like pure and innocent, and she's actually engaged to this guy that she's been engaged to since birth. It was arranged by like her father, and obviously now that she's a ruined woman, that is off the table. Now he has done this on purpose because this guy that she's engaged to is actually his business rival, and he has essentially stole his rival's fiance just as a fuck you to his rival. She obviously is not down for this, but she doesn't have a choice because her dad agrees to it, and he takes her. At the minute they're on the way to Potomac, which I think is where he's from and like where the bulk of this story is going to take place. He's just the worst though. He's the worst. He's misogynistic. His job is literally arming third world countries and like funding war because it is profitable. He's literally the worst. He literally does not have a single redeeming quality right now. He's attractive, he's rich. Aside from that, like literally his personality, he honestly has nothing. So last night I was like, I don't know if I can read this terrible book with this terrible person. I mean, she's not that much better. She's not a horrible person, but she's not exactly enjoyable to read from. So I flicked through the book a bit, and I saw like lots of kind of like paragraphs of pining of how he's like obsessed with her, and I'm excited to get to that part. So I feel like I am going to continue to read this, but it's definitely much worse than I thought that it was going to be, because we all love a toxic bad boy, okay? Toxic bad boys can be saved. Pieces of shit can't. And I feel like he's more of a piece of shit than a toxic bad boy right now. Definitely a toxic bad boy, but not like the kind that we want. So I'll keep you informed. I read a 1-star review of this on Goodreads yesterday, and honestly, I'm interested in seeing that come into play because that was wild. But yeah, this could be a DNF. It could be just like an entertaining, terrible time. We will see which one it ends up being. So I am about to film my wrap up. That is the main thing that I need to get done today, but I am also going to film a 5-star predictions video. I've already gone for a run today, which yay me. I only have one workout left on that 8-week program that I had to delay a little bit because of my foot, which is feeling much better. It's not 100% pain-free, but it's like 99% pain-free. So I did that. I did a core workout. I'm going to film 2 videos, do a little bit of editing, and then probably some reading this evening. I was wondering what you guys think about unhauling parts of series. I know a lot of you guys will have done stuff like this. I'm unsure because I always want to keep everything. Like if I don't like one element of a long series, I'm not just going to unhaul that bit, you know. I'm specifically talking about things like The Realm of the Eldlings, where it's one massive series broken down into individual series. So realistically, you could remove a trilogy and it's not like you're missing part of a story arc, you know? You're just missing like things that would Easter eggs in the future, because the point in this is that I've just filmed my wrap up and I had no space to put a little hatred up here. So I've taken off and put in my unhaul pile. We'll see if they stay here. These 3 Joe Abercrombie books. So this is Best Served Cold, which I gave 2 stars, Red Country, which I gave 2 stars, and Sharp Ends. Oh no, Red Country I gave 3, Sharp Ends is 2. So this is 2 of the standalones in the collection of short stories I'm pretty sure I would never reread. And I'm keeping my favorite standalone, which is The Heroes, the first trilogy, and then the first book of the second trilogy. Like, how do you feel about that? Because it makes me feel kind of weird, but realistically, like, I've already read the standalones. If I reread the series to get the highlights, I don't need to reread the entire thing. Like, I don't think I'll ever reread the Rainwild Chronicles if I reread The Realm of the Elderlings. But I would keep those because I liked them more, and I like The Realm of the Elderlings more than the First Law. But I just wanted to know what you think. My unhaul, this is the stuff that I still have on sale on Vinted, if anybody's interested, link in description. And this is actually my new unhaul stack, so they'll be there at least another couple of months before I decide for sure, so there's time for me to take them out if I change my mind. But for now, I don't think I want them, especially Best Served Cold and Sharp Ends. Red Country, I could be persuaded, but it's unlikely. Like, I didn't love it. The only good thing about that is Lamb. And if you know, you know. And if you don't, that's fine.
What's up, Peloton? How are you? I'm Allie Love. Welcome. This is a 30-minute country pop ride. Country pop is one of my favorite things to teach here at Peloton. I'm going to smile the entire time. I encourage you to do so. Just know that you will still get a great workout. Whatever your buddy is telling you, whether that means go a little faster or slow it down, I want you to adhere to that.
So I just, well, about 20 minutes ago now, I finished sprints with my patrons and I'm getting ready to go to an appointment. I'm leaving in like 20 minutes, half an hour. And my appointment is at the end of the day. It's at 5 p.m. and it's an hour away, which honestly is just rude, but it's just the way it is. So I'm going to be heading out to that soon, but I wanted to give you guys an update on my Dark Romeo because not only have I not DNF'd this, I am now closer to the end than I am to the beginning. So I've read a significant amount and I stand by everything I said. This is still awful. It's still terrible, but it's also highly entertaining in its full unhinged glory. Like this, I've been having a full-on spoiler-filled discussion, or not even a discussion, I've just been dumping spoilers into my Discord because I could not make this shit up. Honestly, hats off to Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shen for the imagination and being able to make this shit up, because I simply could not. The level that these two are on is unparalleled in its insanity. Like, it's wild, but it also makes for a really entertaining read. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like the plot of this is taken straight from season 1 or like the first book of Bridgerton, because all this girl wants is a baby. That is literally all she wants. And conveniently, our love interest, Romeo, wants anything but a child. Like, the one thing that he will not concede on is the fact that he is not having children. And the reason why he doesn't want children is because he does not want to continue the Costa name. He wants to take over his father's business and run it into the ground. So we have this constant back and forth between them while she is trying to get him to give in and sleep with her because he will not have sex either. So she's trying to get him to give in so that she can have a baby, and he is trying to keep her at arm's length as much as possible. And they're like manipulating each other, they're blackmailing each other, bribing each other to get what they want, and it is so toxic, so problematic, but so thoroughly entertaining. So this is going to be a hard one to review because like I genuinely do not think it's good. Like when I rate this, the characters will be getting like a 1 from me. I think they're all awful and I don't even think like they're well developed or fully fledged or anything, but I'm having such a good time with it in the way that it's like a car crash that I can't look away from. Truly unhinged stuff. So if you're curious about this, I would recommend going onto Goodreads and reading some of the 1-star reviews, because honestly that is a similar level of entertaining as reading this book is. It's a great time, and if you have a little bit of time to pass, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and do that. So I mean, I've only got 20 minutes till I need to leave, but I don't think I have anything that I actually need to do. So I'm probably going to read just a little bit more. I'm 305 pages into it out of 470-ish. So my plan is to finish this tomorrow, and quite honestly, like I'm well on my way, so I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
Save me, keep me from floating away.
bed. I was supposed to update you guys earlier, but I kind of just got a little bit carried away and didn't end up doing it. So, hi. I have like 102 pages left of My Dark Romeo, and I could have finished it tonight. That was the plan. But then I realized, I don't know what's happening with my brain, but I keep forgetting that. Say hello to everybody. Say hello. Want me to tidy up? I keep forgetting that the live show for Winter's Heart is literally this Sunday. So I was on like page 140. I looked at my audiobook and I had 10 hours left, which, as you can imagine, with a live show on Sunday for an epic high fantasy book, it's not really great. It's not what we want. So I've just sat for an hour or so and listened to the audio while I played a little bit more of Metropolis Mania. And now I have 9 hours left. I am gonna have to, I am gonna have to ramp up my progress on that. So instead of continuing My Dark Romeo in bed, which once again is still what I would rather do, I'm gonna go take my game up and listen to one more chapter of Winter's Heart, which it's a 1 hour long chapter on single speed. So it's a chunker and it'll get me like just one step closer to having this book done. I'm not having a good time with it, like it's fine, but I'm also pretty bored, which is another reason why I'm dragging my feet on it. Like, Wheel of Time sometimes is not the most engaging series to start off with. So it's rough when you have like 4 days to complete a book and the pace is like really dragging. So it took me a hot minute to get through the end of this book, but get through it I did. I don't think that this book is good. I do think though that it is highly entertaining throughout the middle, but when we're landsliding into a happily ever after in a relationship that shouldn't even exist is kind of where I start to lose interest, and that is what the last like 100 or so pages of this book were. I really enjoyed the anger, the angst, the drama, the arguing, the wild crazy sex scenes, but generally, like, this is the first book in a series. I definitely won't be reading book 3 because the guy that follows is essentially a predator. Book 2 intrigues me because I'm interested in Zach a little bit, but I actually just don't think that I will ever continue on with this series because it's not like dramatic, unrealistic and angsty in the way that like Colleen Hoover books are, which is why I like Colleen Hoover books. It's just like so much further beyond that at times I was reading this and I was like, I have no idea what I'm reading. I showed a sex scene in this book to Curtis. I took a picture of his face as he was reading it. It was really something. This book is really something. If you want to go into this book and read it because it's unhinged, like, I honestly wouldn't blame you because I was entertained, but I'm not recommending this as a book that anyone should read. Let's just say that. Romeo Costa is a train wreck. They also tried to give him a tragic backstory, like with 40 pages left of this book, and then tried with the 30 pages after that to have some sort of conflict and resolution of a plot. And I don't know. Like, I know that that's things that books should have, but if you have a book that's 480 pages and 440 of those pages do not have anything to do with conflict or a resolution of plot, don't add it in the last 40 pages just for the sake of having it. That's worse than just not bothering. Just don't bother. Just don't put it in. Just bring the book to a close. Honestly, it would be better for everybody involved. So I gave this 2 stars. I could be persuaded to give this a 1, but I can't deny that there were elements of this that I enjoyed for the entertainment factor. So I feel like she deserves a 2. So I am going to be wrapping up this vlog here. Sadly, I did not get to the end of Wheel of Time. I now have 6 hours, I think like 5 hours and 40 minutes left of this audiobook, and I have 3 days to get through it. I'm like between page 266 and 283 because I'm in the middle of chapter 13, and honestly I know that this coming weekend is not going to be a good one for me mentally because it's the anniversary of my mum dying. So I just don't know if I'm going to make it through this before the live show, but only time will tell, I guess. In terms of my brain stuff, I am a lot less depressed than I was. I am feeling much better. Like I said, I've got a not great weekend for me coming up, but I am back on track, feeling like myself, feeling normal, back in my regular schedule, working out, all that good stuff. So I would say that, yeah, we did read romance in this vlog until I wasn't depressed anymore. So job's a good one. Also, just to follow up in terms of my foot, I am now feeling no pain at all in my right foot. We seem to be all better. So I don't know what was going on with that because, as you know, through the last week or so, I have been just like working out as it got rid of the last twinges of the pain, and I've been for a couple of runs and everything's been fine. But at least that also isn't a problem. So we're going into our next vlog problem free, or relatively, because you know, we all have problems all of the time. There's nothing we can do about that, but I'm feeling much better than I did at the beginning of this vlog, and that's what matters. So if you are interested in what next week's vlog is going to be, it is going to be Shelve It or Scrap It episode 5. I have already started filming it, and it is already, I can tell, just going to be a shit show. So I mean, it might pull through. It started at a not great point but hopefully it will evolve from there. So do stay tuned for that if you are at all interested. I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog if you've made it this far. It's a little bit of a shorter one than usual because I have been feeling slightly out of sorts, but I do hope you've enjoyed it regardless. And if you have, please don't forget to like this one if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go and nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.